Go. Call to order the Board of Assessors meeting of January 16th. It is 4:08. And Mr. Burke will not be attending today. He has a conflict. He's actually out of town. And looking around, I do not see anyone else other than us, so I'm assuming that means we have no public comment. Is anyone else recording other than LakeCAM? Okay. The next agenda item is the minutes of the December 12th meeting that we need to approve there, John.
And by the way, Linda will be reviewing the LakeCAM video for the minutes, so we won't have to take notes here.
Not that it's the only benefit of having LakeCAM, but it is a nice benefit, so that means none of us have to take notes to interpret for Linda later. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we have some motor vehicle reports to sign there.
Yes, if I could have a signed copy of the minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, give it back there.
Thank you. All right, we have an exemption that I'd like you to approve. This is actually an amended exemption amount. The taxpayer had initially been qualified for a $400 veterans exemption. Upon receiving additional information, the actual award should be $1,000. So, signatures.
More than happy to sign that for one of our veterans.
Okay, we have a statutory exemption report. It's just a system report that needs signatures.
Actually, that report ties off to that exemption, doesn't it? Do we have any motor vehicle?
I'm not seeing any in the folder, so we see if we run across them as we go through. And let's see, we've got a bill to be paid.
I think I said two others.
Oh, there too. Yeah. Signed.
Statutory exemption, elderly exemption. And this corresponds with that. And same thing here. Not sure why these weren't just consolidated on one report, but and here are the motor vehicle abatements.
It's the 16th, correct?
Yes.
16th, right?
16th, yep. No, I'm just, you don't need to date that one, I'm just dating this one. The signature is so much more legible than mine.
John, were you an old school draftsman way back in the day?
Was I?
Yeah,
A little bit of that.
yeah.
That explains that.
That's if you took drafting back in the day, there was a heavy emphasis on that wonderful script that you used to see architects be able to
Yeah. Well,
render.
obviously, I'm not an architect, you can tell by my signature.
Okay, here are motor vehicle commitments. Commitment 7. I think you have one more.
December 31st.
Yeah, it'll be essentially post-dating. This was probably, the report was probably generated a couple of weeks ago.
After our last meeting before this one. This is fine, because our fiscal year is July.
Yeah, so I think just about done with the signings.
Okay, next agenda item is delinquent tax account list and research results.
Yeah,
Unless you have
and
something else you wanted to jump.
I'm
Out of order,
I'm
or-
actually going to defer on that. I'd reached out to Matt today, and he didn't send me the report I was looking for. What he sent me was an earlier version, a summary of some of his findings, roughly 150 some accounts that appear on our tax rolls that remain unpaid or delinquent. We're researching those parcels to see if they even exist. Mm-hmm. We're finding that in a number of cases the parcels actually don't exist, that the acreage is actually part of another parcel that's being assessed and those taxes are being paid. We also have a host of other issues that have come up, some borderline properties that border with, for example, Middleborough, where the majority of the acreage is in the other community, but by virtue of where the town line was drawn, there's some question as to whether some sliver is actually in Lakeville or doesn't truly exist. So
Gotcha.
within the town bounds. These parcels, in that situation, those parcels were created by mapping. Like I said, you have a town line, and that town line might actually be a few feet one way or another when you
Not an
actually...
exact science,
So,
depending on who goes out and draws the line.
So I'm convinced that a fair number of those 150 parcels are going to end up getting expunged from our database, and we'll be putting through abatements to clear up the tax title records in the collector's office.
What's the what happened now with the dollar value is on either A, the real estate value, or B, probably more.
Well,
importantly,
that's part of the report that I had hoped Matt would have sent me, because we've been prioritizing these by going after the small ones first, the low value accounts. So typically the ones I've looked at have a valuation under $5,000, so there's tax typically under $100.
Really being left on the table.
But still, they clog up the system, and we'd like to get those dispensed with. So that's the latest.
So really
on that.
no report at this point. We'll
No, what
circle
we'll
back.
eventually present is a summary report that identifies those properties that should be deleted and abated.
When you do report back at the next meeting, obviously, to your point, you got to come back with the smaller ticket ones that are, I'm assuming we're doing it that way because they're easy to dispense of. Will you have a report so we know all of the properties that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Does it
Okay.
tell us, will that report be able to tell us how long some of these properties have been in default? Could we get that on the report?
Well, that information we'd have to get from the collector. We had just a raw list of accounts that were delinquent for 1 or more years.
How about if we request that from the collector in the meantime, because that may have some bearing on when we're prioritizing which ones we're going to clean up. I can appreciate cleaning up the.
So the figure that came to us, I believe, is the rolled up delinquent tax amount for 1 to 20 years or however long each account.
But we don't have the number of years. We could have it. We could have a parcel that is in the rears.
1
pick an
year
argument,
and, yeah.
1 year for $6,000. We could have another one that's been in the rears for 20 years for $80,000 or
Exactly.
$60,000. But
Yeah.
I'd like to see the breakdown. Just obviously, you need to prioritize which ones.
We'll need that anyway because we've got to abate by year.
Right.
Those.
So we
Yeah.
will have that information in
Yes.
the next report.
Yes.
Okay.
So, item 9, potential RG staffing changes. I have been talking to a former Department of Revenue employee who retired several years ago and is wanting to come on board with us even in a part-time capacity. And her commute to Lakeville would be a lot shorter than other folks that I've sent this way, and she's actually done work here in Lakeville in her capacity as a Department of Revenue employee. So I'm thinking there's a potential good fit. Of course, I'll want to bring her by, perhaps even at the next meeting if she's available, to meet and greet and get your impression, and hoping to actually have her be a longer-term solution for staffing. I mean, ultimately, we really need to start focusing on getting another town on board so we can justify hiring somebody even locally that can support those towns. I mean, that was the original plan.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully in discussions with a town nearby, to remain unnamed at this point, but
Knock on wood.
hopefully we can make that
Put your
happen.
salesman hat on.
I might actually bring the ultimate salesman into the fray if I could.
John's available whenever you need him. Okay, let's see, next agenda item, update on the GIS report.
So I have been getting some departmental input here and there. For example, DPW has provided some actual data that needs to be absorbed into the GIS system. I forgot if it's hydrant locations or
I forget, I've seen some of the emails going
Yeah,
back and forth. The initial email I sent out, I think we saw
But
definitely fire, definitely highway department. I'm not sure if there was another department that.
I've only gotten reports from two
Are
departments.
those two, probably those
Yeah.
two right there.
More important, though, is just the whole reconciliation of the parcel, the GIS parcel layer with the vision records. Should ideally be a one-to-one correspondence between a parcel depicted in GIS and what we have in the vision system. That correspondence is not there where it needs to be. I received 2 weeks ago a lengthy list of properties that we needed to get what's called the LokeID into the database. The LokeID provides the link between vision and the parcel as depicted in CAMA. So here and there, information's been getting to us to deal with this these what we call link errors. The whole title research piece that we were talking about also feeds into this. Parcels that exist in vision, but there's no corresponding parcel on the maps. So part of my wanting to get that resolved is to deal with the link error issue on GIS. That being said, we're getting a lot of good feedback on our GIS. A lot of folks amazingly already know it's out there and are using the tools. And there is also a need. Spend some time this afternoon with vision. We need to get all of our property record cards exported into a PDF file that can then be sent to cartographics for integration with our GIS, so that property owners will be able to actually go into the GIS, click on a parcel, and as one offering, be able to view the vision property record card and print it. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a huge savings. People that have traditionally had to come to the office or find some other means of getting property record cards will be able to go straight to the GIS and have it. So all in the making.
Yes. Well, now that it's here, we should be able to roll a lot more things out.
Yes.
Okay, next,
So
I think,
we've got
do you have anything else that we need to talk about?
the office budget.
We'll put actually, hang on a second. Any old business? No? Okay, so we'll put this under new business. It's budget season and...
Yes, so here is draft budget. I'm hoping it's beyond draft stage and ready to submit. As I understand it, you have a meeting with the town administrator tomorrow.
I have to get this to the town administrator tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be a meeting or if it's going to be she's drop and run or what it's going to be. I will make sure I spend as much time as she needs to review this with her, but I'll let you touch on, I mean, we have it in front of us. I mean, I would just touch on any significant high points that you want to.
So on the assessor's office salaries, no adjustments are showing in the budget yet. There's typically some sort of a percentage.
But that's by contract. That's predetermined.
That's determined down the pike.
Yes,
so
for us to decide on that.
I've left those level funded for the moment. But then the second portion of the budget shows actually a net decline in the budget of the FY 2020. We're at $109,750. I'm tabulating 101,900, so a net 7% decrease. However, we have a little budget nut that we have to crack here. We've been notified by Vision that our current Vision 6.5 application, that's the main assessment software that we use, is soon to become obsolete and no longer supported. They're requiring us to migrate to what they call Vision version 8. So I have a little memo that I've attached to your document here.
You can just summarize it. I think in general, basically, for us not to progress with the upgrade, correct me if I'm wrong, and to look at other alternatives, which there are only two, Patriot and Taylor, which used to be the old
Right.
BOR.
Tyler, yeah.
First of all, in your opinion, RRG has dealt with all of these outfits at some juncture. Vision is we'll call it the Cadillac. It's the most user-friendly, and it has the most features, et cetera, et cetera. And if we were to migrate over to another system, it would cost us $30,000 anyway, plus whatever conversion costs, additional costs on top of that. So our best option is to potentially stay with Vision, and they're going to give us an option to pay the $30,000 over 2 years, 15 and 15 as opposed to 1.
I'll let the budget makers decide if they want to do that, but the bill is what's stated there, and I'm suggesting that rather than include that in the budget, that we offer it up as a warrant article. It's a one-time expense. Should have us good to go for the next 10 to 12 years. It's been about 12 years since we've had our last major upgrade.
Okay. So I will present all this information to the town administrator, and as Harold has pointed out, we'll let the numbers people decide.
Yeah, under new business, are we that far along? I prepared for Todd and the folks upstairs a new growth projection. You'll see it on the backside, actually. $275,000 in new growth revenue. That is, I believe, a conservative figure that they can use to build the budget around. In all likelihood, we'll see the final numbers come in higher, but always best to build a budget around conservative revenue.
Especially if you're in Lakeville.
Especially in Lakeville, yes.
So, any questions, John?
No, sir.
Any additional information, sir, that you'd like to present to us
No,
today?
that is it.
Okay, well, we do not have any executive session items in front of us. I will make note that anyone watching, if you file for any abatements, February 1st is the deadline, correct?
Yes.
And that will mean the next couple of months we'll probably be a little more busy reviewing those. So no one else has anything to add? Meeting adjourned at 4:32.